I I should believe the class has started.
Yes, we have started in a very informal manner. So maybe we can
I
start
think so.
formally now.
Do we need to do that? I mean, it's just going
Yeah,
to drag
let's
things.
flow on. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be back in your midst tonight. I remain Ibrahim. Let me share my screen and tell you what we're going to do tonight. And then I'll revise with us what we did up to yesterday night. As at last night, our program looked like this. Hold on a second. I'm trying to rearrange my screen. Sometimes it can get clumsy. All right. So as at last night, we wrote our code, org game settings, size 20. Yeah. Confirm to me that the fonts are clear for you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks a lot. So up to last night, we wrote something like this, orc game. So our orc is there. The enemy appears on the top left corner, and then it drops vertically till it disappears. And after that, it doesn't reappear again. We only have one enemy object for now, that fireball. So it goes out of view, and we can't see it again. Too bad. Nothing is going to affect orc for now. So how do we want to move on from there based on our game concept? So I'm going to come back here and walk us through some ideas. So I'll come up with the game screen again. So this is the game screen. Orc is standing here, flexing his muscle. And then our object starts, our fireball shows up here, which is not a good location for us. Anyway, if we are the one controlling Hawk, then this is the player. So that may actually be a good location if the fireball shows up there. This is the computer playing against you. Okay, so the objective of the game, in case some people still doubt what we're trying to achieve, the objective of the game is for this fireball here to show up above Orc and try to drop on top of him as quickly as possible. And if it does, game over. Orc needs to now go this way, or this way, or this way if necessary. I don't think that will be required, or this way if required. So he needs to escape getting in touch with the fireball or contacting any part of the fireball at all. If Orc manages to escape and the fireball goes down and disappears, your score increases by 1. My marks are stingy now. I'm very stingy with marks. So I'll give you 1 mark if you escape the fireball. So as many fireballs as you escape, your score will keep increasing. We can have agreed to say, okay, maybe we increase the score by a different factor, maybe 2, maybe 5. It depends on you. You can set your threshold, but you'll be scored, but your initial score is 0. And if 1 ball goes down, you increase it by a certain factor, and that score keeps increasing. So our objective tonight, or one of the many objectives tonight, is to be able to keep track of your score as a user. Okay, we want to be able to keep track of your score. That's objective number 1. Objective number 2 will be to ensure that when this ball comes out, it should come out it should come out directly on top of wherever Hulk is. So the fireball should be here and not at this extreme corner. Okay, that's one objective we have. We need to learn how to do that. And we can say, okay, never mind. Maybe the fireball should be there at the center where Orc is. But because Orc is moving around, we want our fireball to come out at multiple positions so that it won't just be on this side alone, that it will be coming down. It should be able to come down from any location on the screen. And Orc has to keep running right and left as may be required. So we want to do that tonight. Then part of the things that I want us to also see will be if Hawk collides with the fireball, it should be game over. Okay. So along the line, we will bring in your name as the player. We will keep track of your score. We will move the fireball on the screen. Of course, you already can move your orc. We will make fireball appear in multiple locations, and then we will see how to manage the collision of the two. And I guess that should be fun for us. And of course, if we are lucky enough, we will say when there is a collision, let there be a sound that is played. Something to sound like boom, like an explosion. We can play sound upon the collision, and then it tells you game over, and then you know you have lost. So that is the layout of what we want to achieve tonight. I hope that's clear to all of us. All right, so having said that, let me move away from this screen. It looks very scattered, but those who are part of the conversation will know how we got to this. So let's go back to the program and start thinking, where do we start all of this from? Which one is the easiest task for me to code? Let me run the program again and see where we are. Okay, the object can drop. And when it drops, I want to check if another one comes out. If another one doesn't come out, then I need to program how another one can show up on the screen. It goes out, and that's it. Nothing is coming back. That's not good enough. So let us see how we can bring another fireball back onto the screen after the first one disappeared. Maybe I'll go back to my slide again and make a copy of this. I'll need more of it. Okay, I need more of it. Okay, so let me go back to my screen for presentation. And then this one that I'm using for notes, I don't need it. Now, when you look at your object, you need to be very comfortable with another element of the geometry, which looks a bit advanced. And I'll set it up like this. Let's say this is the object that you are moving around or that is coming towards you. It can be your own object. It can be any other object. There are things that you're already familiar with. You know this corner very well. That is where we always have our X, Y. That's the origin of that shape. Okay. You know its width. You know its height. The parts that you are not comfortable with or that you are not aware of yet is that that object actually has so many other iconic spots around it. One is this part. It's called the top. Another one is this part. It's called the bottom. One is this part is called the right. Another one is this part is called the left. Okay, this is the left. And you think that's all? No, that will not be too correct. The center is also recognized in case you want to do anything with the center of that shape. And as if that's not exhaustive enough, it now has 4 other elements, which I'll point out to you quickly. It has, this is the lower right corner, okay, or the bottom right corner. This is bottom right. It can recognize this column as bottom left. Then it knows this corner as top left. And it knows this corner as top right. Okay, so this is very important for you. Once you understand these different dimensions to the object that you have on the screen, your ability to move it around will be very easy, and your ability to track where it is will also be very easy. Because, for instance, if this object is coming down the screen, let's say it's coming this way, you will realize that so many things will be changing. The value of its top will be changing. The value of its bottom will be changing. The right remains the same. If it is dropping vertically, the left remains the same, but the height is still the same, but the top, which is the gap between this line and the horizontal line at the top side of our screen, that's the dimension of the top here. And then the bottom is showing you the distance between this lower side and the horizontal side of our screen. So you will realize that when your object is coming down, the top side is increasing, the bottom side is reducing, it's going down. And at some point, this horizontal side, which we have called the bottom, will align directly with the horizontal side, the lower horizontal side of your screen. So when your object gets to that point, the object has not disappeared. It is just at the edge of the screen. It will only disappear when this side, the top side of the screen, or of the object rather, is below or at exactly this spot. So let's think about it. The object is coming down. I think I need another screen. Yeah. This is the object on your screen. Then it becomes this, it's moving. Then at a point, it becomes this. It has not disappeared. So when you check the top here, it is not as high as the top here. It is not the same as the top here because the value is increasing. So the point where the object is going to disappear is when the object comes like this. So the top is either higher than the screen height, top is greater than the screen height, or it is exactly equal to it. That is the situation when this object disappears from the screen. So the top of that object will be greater than, because it's going down. And we said the more you go down, the higher the value on this axis. That's what we said. It increases downward. So when this object goes out of screen, its top value is either greater than or equal to the screen height, which is this. So when that happens, what do we want to do? Which is exactly what our fireball has been doing. It's been disappearing and it keeps going down, down, down. We don't know how further down it has gone. So we want to bring it back to the top of the screen. For us to bring it back to the top of the screen, we need to do something to its top. Sorry, not its top, its bottom. Because this is its top, I need something to happen to this bottom side, this lower side of the fireball. I need it to come out at the top here. Remember, it will look like this. Yeah, it will look like this when it is coming back from the top. So we want that lower side, which is the bottom of the fireball, to be exactly 0, because on this line, y is 0 there. So once you set the bottom value of that box to 0, it will reappear from the top and then it continues to move down again. So that's the first thing that we need to do. It may appear here, that's not a problem for me. It will come out on this side. Then later I will show you how we can move it to any other side of the top layer of the screen. So let's make our object go out and come back first. So let me switch to the screen for coding, and I'll show you how we are going to adjust that. So let's check where we are. The object is there. I can actually increase the speed so that we don't waste too much time there. Make it 5. Okay, that's the vertical velocity. So it comes out, it goes, then it keeps going down, nothing happens. So for it to come back, just from the theory that I've told you, we need to go to where we are controlling its downward movement, which is this part here. So it keeps moving because I have written an equation here. The enemy top should keep increasing by the velocity value that you have set, 5. So it keeps going down. But at some point, it needs to reappear. So we'll come in here and say, make the fireball reappear. From where? From the top. So we need to do a check before it can reappear. Okay, we need to do a check because it's constantly moving down, and at some point, this condition will happen. The object is called enemy location. Okay, it's called enemy location. So I'll say if enemy location dot top is greater than or equal to screen height, based on the theory that I gave you, then we want something to happen. And what will happen is very simple. We'll say enemy location, okay, dot bottom should be equal to 0. Yeah. These 2 lines is an implementation of what we discussed right here. So when it goes off the line, this is the condition. If the top of that object is greater than or equal to the screen height, this is the maximum layer. This is the top here. Or this is the top of the object, and this is the height of the screen. When the top of the object is greater than or equal to it, we want the lower side to become 0. When you set this lower side to 0, this is what you mean. It should come back to the top of the screen here. It may sound a little bit weird, but with time you will understand and master this geometry. So if I run this again now, you see that our object comes out. it goes down there and it must reappear at the top. And it will keep reappearing at that same spot because I have not said it should move away from that plane. So it will keep appearing there and nothing will happen to our incredible orc. Okay. So objective number 1 achieved. We want the fireball to appear after it disappears from the screen. We've achieved that. Now, objective number 2 will be to say, now that it is appearing constantly on the left-hand side of the screen, how about we randomize where it appears? Okay. And that brings us to the concept of randomization. How do you randomize the value? There is an easy option for me, even without going the random, route. There is an easy option. I can go into the system and say, track incredible orc. When you track him, come out from the same vertical axis that corresponds to wherever he is. And that's what you should do. So how do I tell my fireball to track incredible orc? Very simple. I'll go to where I defined my enemy location, which is line 43. In fact, I already put it here. I think we did this yesterday. I'll come in here and say orc has an horizontal component, which is X value. So I'll say the X origin, let me put it like this. Let me say orc has a location, orc location. Yes, let's try something. I can change the idea and say my enemy location dot, I can say dot center, but not center per se. It should be dot, it should be dot left. Yeah, dot left plus enemy dot get width. I'm trying to set the size for that object. No, this shouldn't be. I will bring this one out and say orc location plus this. Yeah. But which part of orc location I want to track is left. Let's see what this is going to give us. So when you run this, okay, it's not giving me what I want because it's still on that side. So how about I get this to, I put this up. Orc location, sorry, enemy location dot X should be the same as my orc location dot X, which will be this. Yep. And every other thing should move on from there. If I run this, okay, it's moving on the same plane. It's not giving me what I want. So what do I do? What do I do? I need to chase orc. And it's not allowing me to do that right away. Okay, so one other option for me is to say orc is here. Just give me a second. Orc is here. And I am trying to move the enemy to come out on top of him. Okay, so this is the X for, okay, so let me see what happens if I say orc X. Correct. Good. So you can see now that my object knows where orc is. If orc goes this way, my object will track him and will try to come out wherever he is. So it has an idea of where he is now, and we can consistently track, even though it's not coming out exactly where I want him to be. So one thing I'm going to do is to say, okay, let me randomize the appearance of orc, sorry, of the fireball on the screen. Let me take you through randomization of the position, one quick moment, and then we'll come back to this line 46. So I've bookmarked that to say, okay, I'm coming to that spot. Let me quickly create a file and call it random tutorial. Okay. Now, if you want to randomly generate some numbers on the screen, like you want to do a guess game, you want people to generate random number, there is this intelligence that Python has, which you can call. So you can call this import, you can import random and say, give me a number. This number should be a random number, which has to be a random integer between 1 and say 20. Okay. Let's even move away from here. If you say random and you remove the 1 to 20, if you do this and you say print x, x will give you numbers between 0 and 1. Okay. Numbers between 0 and 1. If you run this and say, give me the results, the results that you get will always be 0 point something, 0 0.0, 0 0.1, 0 point this. It will be between 0 and 1. Okay. But if you do not want numbers like this, because your screen is quite wide and you know the minimum value is 0 around here, and the maximum value is whatever the screen width is. So we want to set something along that axis. We will need to come in here and say, we defined our screen width to be 1,200. This is just like a digression, but it's worth it. So if our screen size has been defined as digression, and we say screen origin is 0. So if you want to generate a random number between the screen origin and screen width, what you would do is you won't put random here. Rather, you say rand int, and it will be between the origin and the width. So the number you will get now will be between 0 and 1,200. And you see, I have 26. If I rerun it, I have 242. If I rerun it, I have 234. If I rerun it, I have 311. So you can see that the number that is being displayed is randomly generated and it's not static. So we can use the same logic to move our orc such that it won't start coming out at a constant location like it's currently doing. Okay, so how do we go about doing that? We need to come up here. I already imported random. I just need to add one more thing. We do not have screen origin, so I can pick it and then add it to what we have. And then when you come into where we are defining orc, we will not put orc x, okay? Rather, we would say random dot rand int, which is generate random integer for us between screen origin and screen width. And that will be the X element for your enemy location. And if we run this, we should be lucky enough to have the object moving randomly on the screen. So let's check this. No, we should run our awk game, not the the random number. So when I do this, it comes out here. The next time it should randomize. We'll check why it keeps coming out on that side. So if it is coming out consistently there, then we need to go and check where is the movement of X or of the object being determined. We have it here. So I can actually make fireball appear on top of awk. No, this is not what I need. I need to move it away from there. Okay. So the next time it's coming out, it should be here. So I'll do this. I'll take this line or these two lines off here, and I'll put them in the move enemy vertically. Yeah. So I'll put it here. So enemy location is randomly generated. So let's see what happens. Now you have this sort of weird scenario. So that's not what we want. That's not what we want. We want it to be a controlled movement. So it means this is not the right place. So let me look at it. Just give me a moment. I'll take it out of here again. I come back into this. Okay. So if it says it doesn't want it to be there, so enemy location is 0. Yes. And I want it to be randomized. Okay. That's like the top. No, that's the left. So I can do this and say enemy dot left is this. Let me check this quickly. Okay, it comes out here. Same location. No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Okay, so I have an idea. Just give me a moment. I'll take this here and bring him back to when this is greater than this. Yeah, I think I'm better off here, not at the top here. We'll check. So if I run my game, okay, this is where it is. It goes out. Awesome. It comes out there. It should come out somewhere else the next time. So you can see the positions are not the same. Yeah. So it's randomly choosing where to come out. I want something other than the extreme. I'm not controlling it. It's the random engine that's controlling where it comes out. So you can see it has come out now. And I think we're good. Awesome. So we need to remove this part here and say, what have we achieved? We are able to say when the object is moving vertically, it should move normally. But the next time it is coming out, its left side should be randomly decided. What do I mean by the left side? This side of the object. This is the left. So it will keep generating different numbers, and the numbers will keep determining where this X is going to be. One time it may be on this side, the next time it may be here, the next time it may be here. But the value will never be greater than this. Otherwise, the object is going to go out of the screen. So we've achieved the random movement of our object on the screen. So we're good. It can come out and we can increase the speed. Let's see. Maybe I can even do one more thing there. Screen width plus. Anyway, we leave it the way it is. It's doing what I want it to do. Now, one other thing I want to start building here is how do we keep track of our scores? We're coming down to collision, but let's get to scores. When this fireball comes out like this and it goes out of screen without hitting Orc, of course, Orc scores a point or you score a point as a user. Okay, but when it hits you, then the game ends. That's the idea. So where are we going to display the score? I want it to be somewhere on this side. You can place it where you want, but in my case, I want it to be somewhere here. And we can put it on the top right corner here. I think it's better on the top right corner here. So the idea behind putting the score here is this. Go into your code before the game loop, okay? Before the game loop, even before the clock here. And we will say undo scoreboard display. That's what I want to do. So I'll first introduce something we've not done before. Here I put font is equal to pygame.font.sysfont. Now I don't have a name in mind, so I'll put none. And then I need to put the size of the font there. Maybe I put 40. Okay. That's the size that I have given my font. But I need users to be able to see the font and the score when it is displayed. So how do I do that? I'll go in and define something like show scoreboard. That's what I've called my function. And for now, let's define it as show scoreboard. And our scoreboard will have a text on it. Score text is going to be there. This score text is what people will see when the scoreboard is displayed. So this is now going to be, for me, I'll say font dot want to render this message. And the message is going to be score. We can put the F notation here to make it more interactive. Score is going to be this. And then, in fact, we don't have any object yet. So let's do this. I'll go back and say score will be something like this. And we'll say dot format, we will put score there. But we have not created the variable score, but we'll come back there. So let it just sit down and be enjoying itself temporarily. So we'll come in here and say, what color should we display that in? Maybe we should put white.
I have a question.
Yes.
So how do you make this word after the score?
This
How do you make
alias.
it show?
It
Yes.
came out on it. Once you put comma here, that will come out on its own. So you don't have to print it there.
With the color.
Yeah, with the color, correct.
Okay, sir. Thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
You're welcome. Now, at this point, we have not declared our score. So I need to go into maybe the upper part of the screen here, where I'm handling scoreboard and say score is currently 0. And you can see that the error here has disappeared. Okay. Now I will pass score into this my function, meaning that whenever that function gets a variable called score, it should just display it on the screen for us. That's what we've done here. But then how do we make this show on our screen. We need to go in and say screen.bleed. This is the way we were adding things to the game screen. So we will need to add score text. That's the variable we call it. Score text needs to be added. And then you need to indicate the position where you want to add it. Now, this is where you need to do a little bit of playing around the screen. If you put it in the default position, you can say 0, 0. We'll see this and the way it comes out. Let's try this first. And then somewhere down into your code, you need to display the score. So I can come down here and say show scoreboard. I need to be show scoreboard. The score is the parameter we are passing into it. And currently it's 0. So if I run the code, so you can see score of 0 is appearing on the top left corner there. So that is a little bit weird. It's almost jumping into the upper part of the screen. So let's play around with the position where we have defined our scoreboard here. So we can say scoreboard location should be maybe 10, 10, if possible. And here, I'll just put scoreboard location. Yeah. And then the size of the font itself looks a little bit big for me. So I may go the route of, let me see 30, what it looks like. If we run this code again, yeah, it looks better. Okay, score is 20. Okay, 0. I'm looking at that dimension and I'm like, shouldn't I move it to like 2010? You can play around with this. Yeah, this looks better. But most people may not like it like this. So you are free to move it around. If you want to move it to this top right corner, can someone tell me what the score should be? Because that's where most people prefer to have their scoreboard, not on this top left corner. It's better placed on the top right corner here. So how do I move the scoreboard location to the top right corner? By changing this. Can someone tell me what I need to do to line 81? Any idea?
So are we going to switch it? Like the numbers?
Yeah,
So
we need to increase the number. If you put 00, it will keep it on the top left corner. Okay, let me put 00 so that you see what I mean. If you put 00 like this and you run the game, the scoreboard goes to the top left corner. We don't want it there. We want it on this top right corner here. So what should I do to the location? X is still going to be what? Y will be what? So I can help you. I'll push Y down by 10. Okay. And I'll move scoreboard to screen width minus maybe, let me say 100. And I'll tell you why I put 100 there later. So when I run this code now, you can see this is where my scoreboard is appearing and not on the top left corner anymore. It looks better here. Right or wrong? I'm sure you agree with me.
Right.
Yeah, it looks better here. So we can stop the code and say we still don't like it there. Why not move it back by like 300 pixel? And you will see why I am doing that. Yes, this is what I want. And I'm sure you'll be like, why do you want that? I'll say, I'm thinking of something that I have not told you yet. And that's why I moved it that far. Look at what will happen. We have done something in our previous training, and I'm sure you will remember it. I'll come in here and say, hold on a second. I'll say get player name. And I'll say your first name is input. I'll put what you are all familiar with here. Enter your first name. And whatever you enter as your first name, which is here on line 5, I want to bring it into, where are we displaying the score? Hold on a second. Where? Okay, I want to bring it in here and say your name should come out on the scoreboard rather than just say score is 0. Your name should come out with it, and it will look like this. First name. So how do we do that in here? Say your name. Where is your name? Mrs. Score. So here it will be first name before score. In fact, we can put this as small s and then small s, but we know the variable that we are passing. When we get down into where we are calling that function, which is going to be here, we will not pass just score alone. We will pass your first name and your score. So if I run this program now, it won't start with the game. It starts by asking me for your name. Enter your first name. And I'll say Imisi Oluwa. Okay. So once I press enter there, the program starts on this side. And it says, oh, we did not display the code correctly. The scoreboard is not showing the way it should. So let's cancel this. Quickly go back to our code and say, what did we do wrong? We got your name correct. We want to render this as your name. And then we want your score to be here. So score, oh my goodness. We swapped the parameter passing. So it should be name first. Name first, you need to be mindful of this. Name is coming first, then score is coming next. That's the only mistake we made there. So I have fixed that. And if we run this script again, and I put Missy Oluwa here, and I press enter, my game starts properly, and I can see Imisi Oluwa's score is currently 0. One other enhancement we can make to this is to change the dimension. Instead of the 0 coming immediately after the colon, we can shift it forward a bit, create a little bit of spacing to make it look decent. So I can say put space here, put space here. And when we run it, we will see the impact of that. That's one element. It's asking me for your name, Imisi. And then the game shows up here. Always look at the lower right corner here, so I can see Imisi's score. Yeah. And I can put your full name and push the boundary forward. Now, these fireballs are dropping and going out of the screen, and that should be +1 for you as orc. So how do I go about increasing your score based on the changes that we are facing here? I must be able to look into your code and say, if this happens, I must come down here and check where that object is disappearing. The score is a variable. Move enemy vertically, this place. I'll move the enemy vertically. But when the enemy disappears without hitting Hulk, we'll say when fireball disappears without hitting Hulk, give 5 points to the player. Okay, give 5 points to the player. So the points is stored in a variable called score. The original one plus 5. That's just what you need to write here. Now, my program is complaining. It doesn't know how to handle score here. You can see it put up a symbol here telling me you need to do some things. You are running into issues. This is a function, and I'm using score inside it. I have used score outside. So it doesn't know if this is a local variable or a global variable. So I know I have declared score. Oh, this is bad. I have declared it outside that function. So I want the same score to be referenced. So I already put something here called global. All variables declared outside this function, I want to make reference to them, at least the ones that I need. I'll include score in that list. And then line 66 stops complaining about that syntax. Then I need to do one more thing about Mrs. score or any other player's score. Instead of just saying Mrs. score is 0 or 5, I should be able to put something like points at the end of it. Yeah, it looks better this way. So when we run this code now, and it asked me, and I put Amira as my player, the game shows up here, and it says Amira's score is now 5 points. Now it will become 10 when this second one disappears. When this one goes out of screen, it will become 15 points. When the next one goes out, it becomes 20 points because we are adding 5 points. And you can see, even without Amira moving,
So,
yes.
so please try to move Hulk so
I'm
we can
moving
see
Hulk.
lose this point.
I'm moving Hulk. I just said something because we will eventually get to where the collision will happen, and then
Okay.
you will lose mark when there is a collision. The game will end, and you see a message here saying game over. But we are just trying to illustrate how the ball's disappearance on the screen will cause you to score points. So you are scoring 5 points now. Now, the message then is, how will you...
Are you the one controlling O?
No, the fireball is being controlled by your code. The only thing you control is Orc, not the fireball. The fireball is showing up randomly on the screen. And then I need to run away from it. So our target is if the fireball hits you, the game is over, okay? And you are not going to score any point. So if it goes out as it is doing, you don't have a problem. But if it hits Orc, then you lose, and then the fireball should also disappear, and there should be a sound saying, boom, you've lost the game. 5 points appears or appeared too much for me. Let me go back and reduce your mark.
One.
I don't want 5. I'll give
One.
1. Okay.
So no 2. One is
Okay, let's
wow.
put 2. Let's put 2. Okay, let's put 2. Now, so we have seen how the object can move on the screen. We have seen how we can randomize its position and make it appear. Let me put Miriam as my player, my next player. Okay, so Miriam scores, she has 2 now. So the object is falling on top of orc. We have not programmed the collision yet. Don't get, don't put yourself under pressure. But we are just saying when the object falls as they are currently doing and they disappear, you are scoring points and you are scoring 2 points. We've adjusted our 5 to 2. Okay, and that looks nice for now. But can we ensure that the objects are falling faster? Yes, you can increase the speed. That's your own decision. You can do that. But what we want to now go into is when the object falls, my object is coming out of view. I saw this, but I didn't want to call your attention to it. So let's do something to the position, the random position here. So it should be screen width less fireball dot, it doesn't know what fireball is. So I'll bring fireball here and say fireball dot get width. Did we not, we call it enemy, not fireball. Apologies. So the fireball enemy dot get width. Yeah, this is more accurate. So you will never, under this condition, have a scenario where I'll put read 1. Okay, so you will never have a situation where your fireball appears on the right-hand border or overlapping, or a part of it is cutting off on that side. We've adjusted it. So this is cool now. So the next thing we need to work on is when the fireball drops like this, which is supposed to be the fun part of it. When it drops from the top like this and it is coming on top of orc and it comes in contact with orc, you should have an explosion. Boom. And then a message should be displayed up here, say game over. And then the game is over. Your score stays there. So what do we need to do to achieve that? I'm going to come back to my game screen and then take you through the theory of this, and we will try to implement it. And that should probably be the last message, apart from the message on game over that we will display for you. So let's go into the presentation mode one more time. I'll get my marker and then I walk you through the concept. Now, collision detection, that is what we want to talk about. Now, when you have an object like this coming towards an object like this from any direction, okay? How do you know if there is a collision between both objects? One, many options are available. Many options are available. Option 1 could be you have something like this. The overlap could be between the top left corner of one object and the bottom right corner of the other object. This could be the basis for your collision. The collision could be like this. It could be like this. It could be like this. It could be like this. In fact, you may have one object staying directly on top of another because one is bigger than the other. What you need to watch out for in your collision programming are the following elements. Hold on a second. Let's put this object back and we'll work with just 2 of them. If the objects are moving laterally, you will be watching out for when the right of this one overlaps with the left of this one. Any form of overlap between the right and the left means that's a collision. That is very simple. So both of them are moving, but once the right-hand side of this object, which is this plane here, overlaps or goes beyond the left-hand side of object 2. Yeah, let's label them. When object 1 moves and its right-hand side overlaps with the left-hand side of object 2, any form of overlap, whether partial or complete, there is a collision. That's one situation. You may have the reverse situation, which is like your own case, where object 3 is below object 1. You can detect collision if the bottom part of object 1 completely or partially overlaps with the top part of object 3. So it can sit directly on top of it like this. It can be this one is here and this one is here. That's a partial overlap. But despite these two conditions, you will realize that the B of object 1 is greater than the T of object 3 because the value is increasing downward. So once there is an overlap, this bottom part is already greater than the value of this top part. If they sit on top of one another, then it means there is an exact match. So you'll be looking for when is the bottom greater than or equal to the top part of the lower object. So this is your arc. This is the fireball. So our focus should be to program a condition where the fireball bottom is greater than or equal to arc's top. Okay.
Sir, what is the meaning of the 3T?
Okay. This 3 is object 3 because I called this one 1 and I called this one object 2. And I was labeling them to show you their different numbers. And this is object 3, this one here. This one is object 3. Yeah. So when...
Sir, then why are you putting letters beside them?
Okay, thank you very much. I am putting letters beside them for you to know when the objects are interacting with one another. Okay, if you look at object 1, which is this one here, this one at the top, when it is standing alone, it has a top, which is this side. It has a bottom, which is this side. That's why I put B there. That's the bottom part of that object 1. So we are not interested in the top part of object 1. We are not interested in the right part of object 1. We are not interested in the left part of object 1 because our object is coming from the top and it's flowing downward. So we need the bottom part of it. We must be able to track what is happening to that bottom part because arc is going to be our object 3, okay? And we want to see at what point will object 1's bottom overlap with the top part of object 3, which in this case is our arc. if there is a contact between the fireball, which is our object 1, and orc, which is our object 3, then it means there is a collision. And that means the fireball will overlap with orc, and then you will lose points, or you probably will lose the game. Okay, so that's what I mean by TBR. We already discussed the TBR here. This is R for the right side of the object. This is L for the left-hand side. This is B for the bottom side. And this is T for the top side. So when the object is falling down, in this case, we need to keep track of its interaction on the bottom side. However, if we had designed our fireball to be able to bounce around the screen in multiple directions, then we will have been checking what is happening on the right, what is happening on the top, what is happening on the left, because it can hit orc from multiple sides. But we are lucky. We are only focused on one side, and that's the bottom side of the fireball and the top side of orc. Now, you should be very careful with the condition that I have given here, which I interpreted up here. If the bottom side of orc is greater than or equal to the top side of our fireball, sorry, the bottom side of our fireball is greater than or equal to the top side of orc, it does not mean there is a contact. It's one part of the equation. And I'll tell you why I think that is true. Okay, now check this. Let's say this is our screen. It's good for you to understand the geometry before you start writing code. Let's say this is our screen. This is our fireball. And our orc is here. Our orc is there. And someone is saying there is collision if the bottom of the fireball, okay, this is F, is greater than or equal to the top of incredible orc. This is the notation that I'm using. This is not enough. This condition is not enough because when you look at it now, this is the bottom. This is B. If you look at the value of B, okay, and the top, this is the top of our incredible orc. If you start checking, the value of B at this point is like this. Let's say B1. Let's say it's B1. Now, when this object gets to this point, its bottom is still here, but the value is no longer B1 because it is now around here. This is the alignment. If you draw this one down, this is the new value, B2, okay? B2 is greater than the top of orc. This is orc here. This is my fireball. Yeah. The top of orc is this. This is T1. So the value of B2 is greater than the value of T1, which in this case should have meant this equation is valid. But there is no collision. There is no collision because they are in two different planes. Orc is minding his business on the right-hand side of the screen, and the firewall is busy falling outside that zone. So Orc is safe for now. The Next part is for orc not to be safe, we need to move this fireball towards orc, this particular one here. We need to move it towards orc. And you move it towards orc by saying the right-hand side of the fireball must overlap somehow with the left-hand side of orc. So we are saying right of fireball must be greater than or equal to the left of orc. These two conditions must be valid before we can say we have an overlap. So once you take note of this, it becomes a lot easier for you to program. Yes, you may struggle with this. You need to play it back in your mind, draw the geometry on paper, and then try to figure out what exactly I've written. I am also trying to write this on a paper. The condition is bottom side of the fireball must be greater than or equal to the top of orc, and the right hand side of fireball must be greater than or equal to the left hand side of orc. If we are able to achieve this, then we say we have collision. This is the simple explanation for that. So let's see how we can achieve that programmatically. So we need to come back into our system and say, we can move things around, we can get scores, we probably need to enhance game over or game going on. How do we handle collision? We'll come in here and say, handle def. You can say detect collision. Okay, pass. Yeah, detect collision pass. That's like, let's leave it the way it is. Then you can come into your code and say, handle collision. Detect collision is there. Now you can put it here. I think the spelling should be like this. Yeah, this is the correct spelling. It's a comment, it won't be executed, but sometimes it's awkward when you see something coming up on your screen. So I have put this one here. When I run this code at the moment, nothing happens. Everything will still work the way it has been programmed. So let's say Waris is my player, and then it keeps scoring to 2 points. We've seen this before. So we now want to check the collision. We will go back into detect collision and say, based on what we wrote here, I want to interpret this into a Python code. So there are two conditions. The bottom side of your fireball must be greater than or equal to the top side of orc, and the right-hand side of the fireball must be greater than or equal to the left-hand side of orc. If that happens, then there is a collision. So let's go in here and say, what do we pick? We need to bring in some global variables. These are variables that are declared outside of this function. So there is enemy location, there is orc location. These are the two that I need. So I can come in and say check detection. Sorry, check collision. Collision. So I'll come in here. I don't know what's wrong with my spelling tonight. Yeah, I'll come in here and say if, not first name, enemy location dot bottom is greater than or equal to org location dot, we said top, and and. The next one is enemy location dot right is greater than or equal to org location dot left. If this happens, then there is collision. We can put something like, for now, let's check print collision detected. Okay, and then it should say game over. But for now, let's just say print collision detected. So let's run our code and see how that works. The speed, I may need to tone it down to 1 and then see what I get. Player name, who is there that I haven't used his name? I'll use Ismail. Oh, it's already telling me collision detected, even after, even before any form of contact. So you can see I'm trying to check if there is collision. It should tell me, let me cancel this. Yeah, this, let's go back here and say, here's the function. Where's the function here? Yeah, here. If there is collision, tell us this. Else, tell me there is no collision. So just copy this and then put this here. No collision. Okay. So while the game is running, it will always evaluate these conditions, which is if enemy location bottom is on top of the org locations top, or sorry, and enemy locations right is above the left-hand side of org. At the same time, it should tell me there is collision, otherwise there shouldn't be any collision. So let's move on and check. First name, my friend, Ihsan. Collision detected instantly. No. Something is wrong, which I'm going to check through, and I'll fix this, and I will let you know tomorrow what the issue is, because I don't want us to shoot too much into our time. I'll check why it's telling me collision is detected when in the real sense it hasn't detected anything. It is now that the fireball is moving over Hawk that it should tell me collision detected, and then there should be an explosion. Okay, so I'm going to check that and then fix it. But one quick thing that I need to add to this screen is this. I'll quickly go back to where we defined our scoreboard. Where is it? Here, where we define the scoreboard here, and say def. I need one more thing there. I'll say show game status. Okay, show game status. And it will be, where is that going to be? Same place, but maybe 20 or 30 pixel, 25. Yeah. And then this one will be game status. Yeah. Okay. Game status should be Okay. Sorry, hold on. This is not score text. This will be status text. So this will be status text. Yep. I'll come in here and say game status should give me the text. And then somewhere down in my code, I'll say where I'm detecting collision. I can actually even put it where the result is. Yeah, I can put it there. So where are they displaying the results? It is somewhere up here. Hold on. Show scoreboard is where? Okay, show scoreboard is here. So I can come in here and say show game status. And I'll say show game status. And I'll pass a variable game status. But game status has not been defined. Okay, game status hasn't been defined. So we will come in and say set game status. So I'll say game status is running. Yeah, running. Is it running or active? Running game, active. I'll say, okay, active. Just to demonstrate what I want to do. So when I come in here and I say this, I should be able to see the name. This time I go back to who is there? Who is there? Abdullah. So I pick Abdullah. And then the game starts. Okay, so it will show me something like game status active. But as soon as this game is over, active will change to game over and the color is going to be different. So what needs to be done here is to push the Y boundary there below where it currently is to something like 40. Yes, here I can push it to like 40 and it will look nice. So let's try that again. I put Amira. Yeah, so this looks better. Game status is active. Amira is currently with 0 point. So I'll figure out, I'll check my code and see why I have my collision telling me it's detected when in the real sense, there is no detection yet. And then I'll fix that and then show you that tomorrow. And I'll also confirm, once I figure that out, I will add the explosion bits, the sound effect that you hear when there is collision. I can't do that until the collision is confirmed. So this is my story for tonight. I thank you for being there. I can see lots and lots of comments in the chat box. Let me read through them while I go back to our computers. Yes, I'm with you.
Is it just me or the fireball is moving slowly?
It is you. Okay, I will increase the speed. Let me go. Of course, we can even get to the point where you programmatically say, okay, if the fireball has dropped 2-3 times, then the speed should increase. And then that means that Hawk will have, you won't have the same speed all through, the game. So let's put it at 3. And since it misses the one that wants to see Hawk, but it misses Oluwa. All right. So you can see your Hawk and the fireball moving. All right. So I'm reading through. I give the floor back to our coordinator while I read what you have posted on the chat box for me to respond to. Abdullah, tomorrow morning, please hit me up. If you have gone back to school, then as soon as we are back from school, let me know. If you have not gone back to school, then early before 2 in the afternoon will be nice. Okay. I'm reading all your comments. Our coordinator, you have the floor now. Why they see the fireball dropping. The fireball is still not moving. Abdurrahman, after the call, you can send me a Google Meet link. Abdul Wahid Musa is having issue installing Pygame. Have you seen the video for installation on YouTube? If you haven't, kindly go there and check. Then can you give me your number so that I can chat with you after the class? Okay, that's the interaction between Missy and Musa. Why I can't chat? Because my tablet is seized. Yes, school has started. Okay, if we're doing that, I have to beg my mommy for data, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right, our coordinator, where are you? I think I've read all the comments. So Miriam, help us get that in.
No, I'm here.
All right, good.
I heard you. I mean, suffice to say that today's class is very interesting. Both uncle and the class has been sounding exciting since, and I think your kids are very much comfortable with you now. You know, from their questions, they are free, bearing their minds and all that. So I don't have much to say. I think we should look forward to tomorrow again for another beautiful class. So, guys, as usual, please watch your video. Okay, watch your video. Who came first today? I think it was Missy, Samuel, and Peace that came first, and then Miriam joined them, then others. So, come early tomorrow so that we can discuss how far, assess your understanding, know how far you are catching up, and know what to do again. Okay? So thank you, everybody. If Uncle has anything to say again, so
Thank you.
I call it a day.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.